Happy Valentine, viewers, and you know that the greatest act of love is forgiveness, and that's why we've brought you a program here from the Dailies where we shall be previewing some of the programs or possibly some of the stories that are making the headlines from our Nigerian newspaper, from the ASU strike down to the Delima and APC convention, and also to other stories from the human angle. I am Sela Elisha Dashom, and together with me in the studio is Tosi Owolabi. Tosi, good morning.
Good morning, Sally.
Happy Valentine, Tosi.
Thank you.
Okay, let's run through the papers and starting with the Guardian newspaper.
And the Guardian newspaper, the big story here on strike, not again, anxious Nigerians warn federal government and ASU. With the rider union extend meeting to announce decision today. Most lecturers support industrial action, says source. And parent stakeholders appeal for restraint. Ex-minister seeks intervention of former union leaders. And here we have stakeholders kick as National Assembly delays Nigerian Eagles takeoff over Arik's 10.8 billion naira debt. Stop sit at home before seeking political offices, Ohaneze tells Igbo politicians. And this story can be found on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. European Union seeks partnership on proposed 150 billion euro African funding. While federal government Lagos mega city project failed. And if you're interested in that story, you can find it on page 77 of the Guardian newspaper. And NNPC yet to withdraw dirty fuel as petrol queues lingers. And the picture story on the Guardian newspaper, we can see the petrol queue at the different filling stations, and you can see motorists, bikers, and even individuals who need this petrol, and you can see the queue lingering in our various filling stations across the country. And that's all for the Guardian newspaper.
Yes, Tosi, before we move on, I think the story really, the big story that you read, the strike not again, actually caught my attention. I know we've been looking at the story from last week from our papers, and I think the story keep coming up back and forth, and we know that they had a meeting, ASU had a meeting for 2 long days. In fact, the meeting ended early hours of the morning today, and we're still hoping and believing that the federal government and us will be able to sit down amicably and bring out a solution. Just like we've said, students will be affected. We've mentioned this, and we cannot overemphasize the fact that yes, you just know the day you get admission, but you're not sure when you graduate. And I think this is a sad story, because this will keep making students to feel, is it because our parents are not wealthy? Is it because they are not politicians? Is it because of most of these people, their words are not in the federal universities, and that's why they are treating this with so much levity and they don't care? But I believe the federal government has the best interest of the students at heart. So whatever money is allocated to the school sector, the educational sector precisely, they should give this money to them, because we know lots of things that happen. If you take a trip to the school, the universities, the hostels are not even in good shape, and it's expected that every student is supposed to be in the hostel. The hostels are not in good shape. The lecturers don't receive their allowances are supposed to be owned to them. Lots of things are just not going on well in the school. So I just hope and I believe that we should not be, this should not be something that should be reoccurring on our paper, that after today something will be done, because the students are hoping and trusting that with the issue of this strike coming on, and it's affecting them even psychologically, So I just hope and I believe that something will be done, and then we'll be able to come to an understanding and things will be done well.
Yes, Sally, I'm talking about this ASU strike. The most shocking thing is that these lecturers are demanding for their arrears for year 2020, and we're in year 2022. You can imagine how do they expect them to make ends meet? But they've had this meeting yesterday, and also today we'll hear the final outcome. We just hope that this issue will be resolved, because we want it to be resolved so that students can continue with their normal activities, because having this strike and cutting the section in school is really affecting the students. I keep on saying, when did they resume school? Because of this insecurity, like University of Jos, they just resumed school January. Then imagine them going on strike again. It's really going to affect them. The uncertainty that surrounds the academic sector is really too much. So we just hope that today the outcome will be positive on how those demands can be met. Because if we really want to move our country forward, the educational sector should not be sidetracked. It should not be left behind. It should be carried along, because in education, if their demands are being met, if the calendar is moving on well, definitely to attract people to our education. Because looking at this strike, it has a way of affecting people even psychologically, because the students feel, okay, that's why you see the issue of students looking out for fast way to get money, because the school they feel that the school is not even serious, the academic calendar is not moving us and it's supposed to be, and the age is not by their side. Definitely, I'm not trying to justify those ritual acts and the negative things students and youth are doing in the quest to get quick money, but this again has a way of affecting them. So we just hope that something will be done about it. And today, the outcome of the meeting that will be held today concerning the federal government and ASU, we just hope that it will be positive, so that by tomorrow we'll have good stories and good news to tell students and parents, because parents are really concerned. Imagine your ward in school, you are paying school fees, and for a course that's supposed to be 4 years, your child is there up to 6 years. Not that there's carryover, not that he's peeling, but just having, because of the strike coming from coming up, the ASU strike and even the insecurity strike. So something needs to be done so that the parents can put smiles. The story can put smiles on the faces of parents and even the faces of students, because students are really worried. Believe you me, Stella, they are worried about the strike, because they don't know their fate and they don't even know when they will graduate. People really need to graduate and look out for jobs, because you see there are some opportunities that will come even from the federal government, and they will give a particular age limit, and you imagine that students have spent those years in school. Imagine someone who got admission at the age of 25 and he don't even know when he or she will graduate, and when opportunities come they say you must be 23 and below. How do you expect such person to get such opportunities? Something needs to be done about this strike. We need to put an end to strikes in our schools.
Exactly. So we don't need to wait until when there is a threat for strike before things will be done properly in this country. Well, moving on now to the Leadership newspaper. The first story I would like to take here is a big story. COVID raises 100 billion naira to combat insecurity. No end to fuel scarcity as NUPEC mobilizes for national strike. And we know that the leadership of the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas workers are planning on a strike. And we just hope that the strike won't hold. Just like we said, that we don't hope until there's a threat for strike before things will be done in this country. We know it's still linked to the story you read from the picture story concerning the queue of the queue at the various fuel stations. And it's, most of the looking at NUPEC are complaining at the fact that, okay, we know that last week in the papers we read that truck drivers are planning to go on the strike because about 21 of the highways are bad and they have not yet been fixed. And then still we're looking at this national strike. It's still linked to the first scarcity we're looking at, because they're complaining the fact that the federal government is yet to mobilize a way that they can do away with the bad fuel that has been dispersed to the various filling stations, and because they are unable to do away with the bad ones or return it back to NNPC, and that's why they're unable to get the good fuel back. And this is what is leading to this fuel scarcity at most of the stations. And they even complain to the fact that most of the fuel now, you see there's black marketers that are mostly selling this fuel. They're even selling it as high as 400 naira per liters. And we're seeing, even as a result of this scarcity of fuel, it has even led to the fuel is even up to 165 per liters. It's very sad, because this will affect commoners, especially those who are trading through the tricycles and even bikes. definitely transportation is going to be high as a result of this fuel scarcity. And also even food prices will be high, because those is definitely, you know, when the fuel is high, when you get at a very high price, it will definitely affect those who are bringing in food either from the farms or even from other states. So we're just hoping there's a lot of things that the federal government really need to address in this country, because these are things that even hoodlums can even take advantage of and start misbehaving. So we're just pleading on the federal government to look into this cause and see that they are able to look for a way that the bad fuels that have been in the various filling stations are returned back to NNPC, and then they have the good ones, because they don't have containers to store those good ones, and that is why we're having this fuel scarcity. So we just hope that the federal government will please look into this issue, so that there won't be another strike coming from NUPEC. Other stories still from the leadership: troops, police kills cause of bandit, rescue 20 kidnapped victims in Niger. That's a good one coming from the troops. We hope that they will do more. Other stories: APC PDP chief FCT councillor chairmanship seat. Detail of that story can be found on page 7 of the leadership newspaper. Convention: APC in Dedima over governor's plot to impose chairman. With the rider, governor settled for Sani Musa as national chairman. Will resist any attempt to hijack party, youth forum tells the governors. Party stakeholders tell President Muhammadu Buhari urge president to single-handedly pick a party chairman. Northern governors mourn Dembaba. Death toll in Lagos building collapse rises to 5. Delta shut school over death of 19-month people. And we know that the Delta state government has shut down Rise and Shine nursery and primary school Asaba after a teacher allegedly flogged a 19-month-old pupil Obinna Ozi to death. The teacher, Emeka Owobu, is the son of the school proprietress, and the Commissioner of Primary Education, Mr. Chike Osa, said that the government has shut down the school and it is not an approved school. So, you know, when I read this story, it's really, you know, it's as if I was being stabbed by a knife. 19-month-old pupil was flogged to death. So, see, now this will bring to mind what was actually going through the mind of that teacher when you flog such a child. Definitely at 19 months, that's about 1 year plus. He's still in kindergarten. What did that child do to warrant such a beating that you have to flog a child to that point? I know this called to the attention, not just in Delta. I'm very sure that there are lots of schools across the federation that are not approved. Now you begin to wonder that, is it that there has not been an inspection going through the, you know, various schools to be sure whether they are approved or not? Some of these teachers need to also go through what will I call the I think mental checkup to be sure that they are sound. And this is not an excuse whatsoever for this teacher to flog such a pupil to the point of death. And we are being told here that the teacher is actually the son of the proprietress of the school, even though presently they're in the police custody. But I think more should be done. This should be an eye-opener to other schools in Delta that they need to be inspected. This should be an eye-opener to other schools in the federation that the Ministry of Education needs to see what they can do to make sure that they check every schools. We had the issue of the people that was killed in Kanu. This was still as a result of illegal, you know, schools that are being, you know, operating illegally. So we are just pleading on the government, especially those in the Ministry of Education, the commissioners that are involved in this, to stand up to their responsibilities. It's not just about giving you an appointment, but it's about you coming up to do what is expected of you. Because the one thing I know for sure is that, or one thing I always tell people is that whatever you are being given, you'll be called accountable for it at the end of the day. So these children or these people that are kept under your custody, you give account of them. So it's just a sad one, and we just send our condolences to the family.
Yes, Sele, I would like to talk about this issue. There was a day I was discussing with someone. I said, I wonder if the Ministry of Education go around to see all the schools. I have a school like that in my area. You need to see the way the students are being kept. Talk to, even where they go to excrete, they don't have such place in their school. Go down to teachers. You just collect people that live within secondarians to teach. And what are they teaching the students? Nothing. Imagine this parent now, this school is the son of the proprietor. You can imagine it's just a family business. That boy don't have the experience of a teacher going through the training that a teacher needs. He don't have such training, so you feel like beating is the answer to everything. Then what can a year and 7-month pupil do to you that warrants such beating up to death? We'll be seeing all these things happening in school when we teachers, people that are not qualified. You just come, okay, because I'm done with secondary school, okay, come and teach in this school. They don't even know how to go about the curriculum. They don't even know what it takes to be a teacher. You just take such a position and you teach, you do different things that won't even pass knowledge down to the pupils. And now we can see all these things happening in school. I just hope that the Ministry of Education will take this mantle and move around schools, because even on the plateau we have all the schools. Someone that just have 3-bedroom flat to feel, okay, let me just demarcate and have nursery, primary here in a 3-bedroom flat. You see illegal schools all around the country, and that's why all these things are happening, because the teachers don't have the training. You see them sitting down and gisting while the students will just sit down in the classroom and keep on reciting A to Z in a day. That's only what they are being taught. And that at the end of the day, they pay school fees. Something needs to be done about it. If we have few schools and they are teaching what they're supposed to be taught and they are going through the right thing, then it's better for parents, because this parents now are scared of sending their children to school because you don't know what will happen. And it was not like this before, because parents send their, even down to their toddlers, they send them to the kindergarten and their mind is at rest. But now you can't even send your child. You keep on calling because you don't know what is happening. Down to the drugs they even administer to children. They give them drugs for them to sleep for the whole day. Something needs to be done about it. We need people who are determined, people who know what they are supposed to do, people who have the passion for their job, because definitely all those people, they don't have passion for their job. Even we saw what happened in Kano State. Aside Hanifa's death, we had another student who was killed in Kano, and now we are having this in Delta, and not just in Delta, in other states. These are happening. If schools can be illegal schools can be closed, then the few that are ready to teach, the few that know what they are supposed to do, that know their onions, should be left. They should be left for them to go about their normal educational activities. But all these illegal schools, something needs to be done about it. Not because you have 4-bedroom flat, then you feel, okay, I can open a school here, and you give it a school. Imagine this school, arise and shine. What is rising and what is shining when you are killing students in such school? Something needs to be done about it. Ministry of Education should take this mantle and move around schools to do their right job.
Yeah, you're actually on the point, to see, and we really hope that this is an eye-opener to the Ministry of Education, that you rise up to your responsibility and inspect all the schools in the Federation. And that is all from the Leadership newspaper, Tosi.
Thank you, Sele. And on the Nation newspaper, Olubadan to be Balogun picks name, and House wears new tool, and PDP, APC share FCT Council equally, with the rider PDP chair Ayu's excitement. AGF to CCT chair Danladi, submit yourself for probe, and Tinubu meets with monarch in Ogun State. CBN forecloses forex rebate for raw produce exporters, and Senate reps protest proposed exclusion from APC convention. Senate seeks reconciliation in Osun APC, and Ekiti 2022, I'm yet to join ABGA, says Oni. On hashtag NSAS, federal government renews battle with Twitter. Microblogging agency accused of double standard in Canada's truckers protest. And we have here a caption which says, our successful negotiation with Twitter to fashion out measures to ensure responsible use of that platform has made us a global trailblazers. Death toll in collapsed Lagos building rises to 5. And downside, we have asked to keep students, government in suspense. Indian held over 134,700 bottles of codeine, and this story can be found in page 9 of the Nation newspaper. And talking about the collapsed building in Lagos, it's really a sad one. This narrows down to the equipment we use in building our facilities, the equipment we use in building houses. We should use standardized equipment in building our facilities, because we know that we've been having issues where we have collapsed building, and definitely if a building collapses, if people are in it, definitely they die alongside those collapsed building. Something needs to be done about. And we have 5 students who died in that collapsed building. We just send our fortitude to their parents, because it's not easy to lose a loved one. Something needs to be done about all these buildings that are built without standardized materials. You see that there are some buildings, you see that it's been marked cancelled, but they clean it and they still continue such building, and at the end of it, you see that the outcome, you see that people will die alongside those buildings being collapsed. We had it when a church also collapsed, and it collapsed with people in such building. If really you want to build, why not use good materials for that building, because it stays for a longer period of time than using low material, and you use them to build, and later on you see that this outcome, not that the building collapsing alone, you see that if people are in it, they collapse and they die. Something needs to be done about it. If all these agencies will go out, they should not just sit in their office. What are you doing in the office? Go out, move around, and look at all these things. Look at all those buildings that are built that are built with low standard materials. Those buildings that are built even on government properties. If they can be cancelled, and if those cancellation are erased, cancel it back and do something about it. We should not just be quiet about all this whole thing. Actions need to be taken by all these sectors.
So you're really right about that. And also looking at buildings that are, built by the water side, these are really things, especially we know that Lagos is mostly a waterlogged, area. You look for professionals that know what it takes to build, because it's as a result of, employing people who do not have the qualification. This still boils down to building, not just in school, not just in educational sector, but other sectors. So you need to look for people who are knowledgeable, so that they will not bring in, inferior materials, and also we should take into warning. We are moving on now to the Blueprint newspaper. The first story here: weak external buffer might shrink Nigeria's reserve to $29.1 billion in 2 years. Detail of that story can be found on page 24 of the Blueprint newspaper. DMO falls IMF projection over Nigeria's debt sustainability. Nigeria gets $550 million for electrification project from the World Bank. This is coming from African Development Bank. Detail of that story can be found on page 24. APC chair Mustafa kicks as ANPP caucus Northeast curry flavors, with the rider anoint credible choice for North Central group urges Buhari. Begins 2023 campaign with facts, not propaganda. It's coming from Lukman. Bank grant over 3 trillion naira in CBN intervention loans. The Executive Order 10 SANS CSO struggle over Supreme Court ruling, with the rider Apex Court right. Order invitation to ANEC. This is coming from Akitola. Judiciary autonomy not within federal government purview. Aqua Kalu. Minority judgment in other golden opportunities. Losses coming from Sage Otu Tipa. Buhari ill-advised, order not necessary. This is coming from Jide Oju. And mobilizing centenary against states carts way out. This comes from Yaga Africa. You want to know more about that story, you can check page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. The FCT polls, APC PDP split area councils. Ruling party wins Abidjan, Gwagwalada, Kwali. Opposition takes over Ama, Buhari, and Kuji. Want to know more about the election that took place in the FCT polls, you can check page 9 and 16 of the Blueprint newspaper. And we have Senate summon NDDC officials over alleged 100 billion naira contract scam. Down to insecurity, police, army rescue 20, neutralizes scores in Niger. The NDLEA detains Indiana over 134,700 bottles of smuggled codeine. Avert nationwide varsity strike, education right group tells the federal government. And that is all from the Blueprint newspaper.
Thank you. Moving to the Punch newspaper, TCN gets transformers to increase power transmission by 1,487 megawatts. Details can be found on page 32. And Nupeng set for strike, insists ministry diverting 621 billion naira road fund. Bank forest ban, dollar scarcity, inflation, firms closure imminent, expert warns. CBN policy ending investors' confidence, fueling uncertainties. And this is coming from an economist. Reps to invite ministers, NNPC, others in refineries and fuel consumption probe. And areas here, legislators aid reports National Assembly to EFCC and ICPC today, talking about their payments and also their areas, because sometime last year we had when aides of all those legislators, they protested because their arrears are not being met, and also their payments, they have not received their payments. And now we can see that they are reporting to the National Assembly, they are reporting National Assembly to EFCC and also ICPC. And still on the Punch, the big story says fuel sells for 400 naira per litre in Abuja. Others, scarcity persists in Lagos. The rider says marketers still struggling to return adulterated petrol to NNPC, and corporation pleads for patience, says fuel queues will end soon. Ondo Cocoa Factory plans $1 million pilot export to boost foreign reserve. And Abekoya threatens to confront aggression against Igboho. Death toll hit 5 in Yaba building collapse. And on Olubadan, we await Makinde's verdict today, says Balogun. Ekiti teenagers land in prison over alleged attempt to kill sex worker. NDLEA seizes 25 kg US, UK, Dubai bound drugs in spare parts and fabric. Details can be found in page 4, and we have few picture stories on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Do well to visit to look out for stories that interest you. So that's all for the Punch.
All right, let's move on now to the business news. Business AM here has it that Iduroma says production process ensures zero emission with the rider as RVSG goes hard against slot emitters. Not a silver bullet. Expert weigh in on Emifede new fiscal policy incursion RT200FX as the foreign exchange, halting foreign exchange sales to banks on IMF threats, practicing trial and error policy somersaults, and calls for private sector inclusion as trade policy making table. And we have other summaries still on the paper. You can do well to check more. And we have a project syndicate, and we also have here executive knowledge series. This is more for those into the business world and entrepreneurs. You want to know more happening in the business world, just grab the Business AM and you can read more from the business world.
And on Business Day, middleman explores fresh trick in Nigerians' OPEC oil contract. 5 highlights from BRIU report on capital markets, and Nigeria's private sector sets aside 100 billion naira to fight insecurity. Nigeria, world most inefficient spender, now lives to pay creditors. And businessmen smiles as electronic color breathes life into Apapa. Haulage costs down 77% as traffic eases. And we have the old and new haulage cost from Apapa and Tinkan to Ikeja. We have the average old price and the average new price. And there's a chart in front of the Business Day newspaper that gives a full detail about the old prices and also the new prices. Do well to visit the Business Day newspaper to look out for the charts and find yourself in the right track concerning the electronic color breads into Apapa and Ikeja and also tin can pots. That's all for Business Day.
Okay, we would love to move into the next paper, but before then we shall be taking the time out, and when we come back our phone lines will be open, so do well to call us in and give us your comment on any of the stories that affect you, especially when it comes to First Casting and also the ASU strike. Remember, we're live on Facebook and also on YouTube, so you can drop your comments and we'll do well to read it. Stay tuned, we'll take this time out and be back right now. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, the program is from the Dailies, and we've been looking at various stories that have been making the headlines from our Nigerian newspaper, from the ASU strike down to First Scarcity and other stories from the human angle. And just like I said before, when on that break, our phone lines are open, so please do well to call us and let us know your comments or any story that affected you. Let's move on to the next paper, which is the Vanguard Newspaper. And the first story here I would take says 2023 presidency, OBJ ex-generals, PFN back, power shift to the south. You want to know more of that? You can check page 8 of the Vanguard Newspaper. Unlawful detention, Ibohu slams $1 million suit against Beninese government. Members to Buhari don't allow presidential aspirant to hijack the APC convention. Now to the big story. Bad Frill, Ip Man, DAPPMAs. Okay, we have a call. Hello, Shama from Kaduna. Good morning. What's your comment on any of the stories?
To all equal members in the whole world. Honestly, it's as if they are secured against the masses of this nation by this government. Making increase the price of fuel, which is not work, and they are turning it the other way. That's why the board is the fuel that is knocking down our cars. And with this, the cost of fuel has gone up. Honestly speaking, Buhari and his team did not mean well for this country. Come the thing of education, because they call education haram, and that's why things have been closed since 2020. We never find it easy in all the institutions we have in this nation. COVID-19 did not allow us our children to go to school. Insecurity again is working at our doorsteps, and the government is not even showing any concern about all that's happening in this country. We feel with Buhari to understand that their students school abroad. If we do not have the money to send our children to school abroad, why are they inflicting hardship on us in this country with the masses? The God that will serve is the God that will fight this battle for us. We are tied with this APC government. We are tied with the policy of Buhari and his government. All that they are sounding that they are a good government. They are not a government, in my opinion. I pray that God will touch the government. But then to see reasons for why masses should enjoy defense of democracy. Because we sit on that phone and read and voted them into power. They just me accepted. I pray that God will change the narrative of this country, which is also.
Amen. Thank you so much, Shama. You know, it's really, you know, people are really pouring out their agitation with what is happening from the ASU strike down to the First Custody. And we believe that the government are paying attention, and they know that we know that there are agencies that are involved in there. So we're calling on the agencies to stand up to their responsibility. Let fuel be in circulation, and also that the strike with ASU will not hold. Well, the story still from the Vanguard newspaper, Bad Fuel, which is a big story. Ip Man, DAP PPMA's price war worsens scarcity with the rider. Pump price rises to 180 naira per litre. Petrol supply to station will soon normalize. This is coming from the federal government. As technical and other committees begin work, and we hope that the work will actually show results when we see that they have fuels in the filling station at a very subsidized price. Bullshit oil price firm up naira value across markets with the rider. Analysts see a more stable market in the short run. Russia and Ukraine crisis, OPEC plus others to determine sustainability. External reserves still subdued, and we have a graph here from the external reserve billions. We have 39.4, we have 40.37, we have 40.5, and we have 45.15. And you can just do well to look up to the Vanguard and know more about the oil price firm as naira value across the market. Yaba collapse, building debt toll raises to 5. Detail of that story can be found on page 6 of the Vanguard newspaper. Hashtag NSAS, Leah Mohammed slammed Twitter, Canada over truckers' protest. You want to know more about the protests that took place in Canada and why the protesters are called terrorists? You can do well to look up page 7 of the Vanguard newspaper. Strike anxiety as ASU takes decision today. 2023, why presidency won't go to the southeast and the southwest. This is from Ebuta. If you want to know more, you can check page 37 of the Vanguard newspaper. Police arrest teacher in Delta for allegedly flogging 19-month-old pupil to death. Refineries record 11.77 billion naira lost in 3 months. State of the Nation, Fund for Infrastructure disappears during PDP's rule. This is coming from the Senate President. So I'd like to say a little about this, just like we always say here. I think it's high time we stop this, blame shifts from one administration or the other. If the administration was bad, I think when you're into power, the right thing you need to do is see what can you do? What are the potholes that you need to fill up? What are the things you need to do as the government that is presently ruling, rather than pushing up the blame that this was a party, this was a person that did not manage the funds that was supposed to go into infrastructure. Just like we said, your number one assignment is make sure lives and property, infrastructure, these are basic needs. These are tax that comes from the masses. So it's not as if you're using it from your private pocket. So this should not be something that people need to beg you to do your responsibility to fix up the roads or fix the hospital or the schools. No, this should be the responsibility of the government. They should rise up to their, to their assignment rather than pushing blames. And these are what people are saying out there. So even though the Senate President is pushing up the blame, I think we should stop the blame. Stop pushing the blame to people. Yes, if they didn't do right, it's okay, they did not do well. But what can you do to fix what you can do? They have just little time to leave the office. We're already in the eve of election. What are you doing to make sure that you leave the legacy that people will say, yes, during this administration, you did this. During this administration, they put a smile on our face. So just like we always say, we should stop pushing blame to people. We should stand up. We should be responsible and know that, okay, things are not working out well. What can we do to fix it, rather than pushing blame to various administration or to people in government?
Yes, Stella, is only a failure that will try to justify his or her lapses, because you knew of this before. You said when you get into power, you are going to do so many transformation, and now we know that you barely have a year in that office, and now you are trying to say PDP did so and so. What about when you were in power?
Okay,
what did you do?
We have a call from Taraba. Good morning, and what's your comment? Okay, we missed that call too. So you were actually saying something.
Yes, just saying that it's only a failure that tried to justify his or her lapses, because you knew of this before you assumed that position. And even as you've been in that position, what have you done? Because you've spent up to 8 years in power. Then why bringing up the old wounds? Why bringing up PDP on all this? Because you said that even while you are in power, you are going to do all this. You are going to do this. Well, we've not seen, Nigerians have not seen what you've promised to do. And now we can see that even from our callers, you see that people are wailing because of what is happening. The situation of the country is not fair favorable to anyone, Sele. People are complaining because of things that they are going through.
Sorry to say. Hello, Kochiko. Good morning. What's your comment on any of the stories?
Yeah, good morning.
Morning.
All right. I want to speak on the issue of ASU strike.
Go on.
Federal government has not been fair to lecturers. What I see there is a clear display of nonchalant attitude of the government. I used to imagine, as the employer of labor, if I do not take care of my workers for months and I will keep telling them to be coming to work, I am being unfair to them. And I know the trust, the desire, and the passion to work will not be there again. They will not do their work. And well, I'm not talking as a Christian, I'm talking as a Nigerian. But even as a Christian, the Bible discourages employers of labor owing their laborers. That is, you are just trying to, punish them. So I would wish federal government should do the necessary thing to stop or avert this. And on the other side of petroleum and whatever, I still believe that in this country we have citizens and lesser citizens. I don't think if the governor will one day suffer from buying a polluted petrol, I don't think if a senator should suffer from that. It is their business, and I guess they are making money from all those nonsense. Why would they say that 21 point something billion naira should be used to clean few liters of millions of petroleum? So I guess we are not yet ready for business. If Nigeria is ready to work, I think it will be made clear to everybody. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Okechukwu, for that contribution. And we believe that the government will rise up to their responsibilities and also not to frustrate the workers. That is talking about the teachers that are teaching, because just like he said, that the workers deserve their wages. And just like he also said, I pick it not as a Christian or as a Muslim, but as a citizen of Nigeria. Well, and that's all from the Vanguard Newspaper, Tosi.
And on the Daily Sun, fuel scarcity worsens. Stations run out of stock in Abuja and Lagos. Economic activity strained.
Hello, Joseph from Kaduna. Good morning. What's your comment on any of the stories?
I want to just keep in something on petroleum. I don't think we are serious as a country. Because I am just imagining, how can we dig the fuel here? Pay for drilling this oil. Then without paying money, sell it across to some people and give those people to return it for us and pay again back home. Well, our refineries are there and we still pay the workers that are there. What is the wisdom in that? That the world cost will now be brought on top of the human beings that we were supposed to be enjoying, but we are having in this nation. I think, and I don't know whether we will get solution to this, because it's looking like the top figures that are there, if it's revolving. The same people, whether they are in PDP or APC, the same there. They are coming from another party. It's the same people that will lead PDP and this APC to form that party. So where is the change? And how do we move forward? And our citizens, the poor people are waiting. The money they take from us is the same money they come and start buying stuff, buying markets, buying Vaseline, and be given to people, and then they take them back again. Then that which they appear is meant for us. The percentage at which we are losing, the degree at which we are losing, is the one that they are having on top. They just start building nations, building for their future generations. When the poor kids get poorer. The funny thing about it all, the people that are doing this to us are the people that enjoy the Ahmadu Bello regime. They went to school free, free, medical free, and today the way we have is
Yeah, thank you so much. I think the network was kind of cracking away, but I think we actually got his message, lamenting the state of the nation, looking at most of these politicians that are frustrating the life of people, enjoyed free education. In fact, while you're in secondary school, already a job is waiting for you, but that's not the case in our situation right now. You need to, toil to get what you need to feed. So we just plead that the federal government will stand up to its responsibilities. Tosi?
Yes, and on 2023 presidency, still on Dailies newspaper, Northern youths back Governor Umahi.
Oh, Tosi, another caller just calling. Emmanuel from Taraba, good morning. Hello. Okay, we lost that caller, Tosi.
And the big story on front of Daily Sun, we have tension as ASU prepares for full-scale strike. May declare warning strike first, and NEC takes final decision today. Death toll in Lagos building collapse rises to 5, and gloom over Nigerians' inflow as foreign participation declines by 22%. Constitution supports zoning. Afebua replies Atiku. Insist on Southern precedents. Federal government to sanction airlines over flight delay. New Lagos Airport Terminal ready March. And this is coming from FAN. Makinde names New Olubadan today as resident sings new song. And here we have a column where the CEO says Boko Haram, ISWAP, Nigerians and Janina collaboration on capacity building. This is coming from Ikirusi's envoy. And fresh crisis looms in APC over convention. Governors move to impose chairman caucus disquiet, and parties forum petitions Buhari. The last story says private sector bigwigs raise 100 billion naira to aid terrorism fight. And we can see that individuals are coming together to look out for ways they can support the issue of terrorism and also fight against terrorism, because it's even affecting individual businesses, the rate of insecurity in our country. And we just hope that this morning, because we have
Emmanuel called back. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. What's your comment on any of the stories?
Okay, like I said, Nigeria economy is so bad. Just look at Ghana. Look at Ghana economy. What is all this? 1 naira, 1 dollar should be 6 naira to Nigeria currency. What is the meaning of all this? In fact, we should pray for Biafra. We should pray for Biafra, because all this are nonsense. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Tosi, he actually made a valid point.
Looking at 100 billion naira that individuals and private sectors are bringing together, because this amount is not a small amount of money, all to fight terrorism, all to fight insecurity. I just hope something will be done, because we keep on hearing that terrorism have been captured, their leaders are being captured in so state, and we still hear of insecurity, we still hear of attacks, those people still attacking communities, still attacking different states. So we just hope that this money will be channeled rightfully, used in fighting this terrorism, because it's another thing for this money to come out and another thing for the money to be diverted in doing something else. But this money should be channeled into fighting insecurity.
Hello, Godwin. Good morning. What's your comment? 30 seconds, please.
I'm calling from Kaduna. The problem we are having in Nigeria, it's all about our leaders. We have a problem with the leaders. Only thing about not like take us further against the but dividing country will never help us. So that's my advice to the Nigeria or to the nation. Please, dividing Nigeria will never help us.
Thank you so much for the call.
Division is not the answer. United, we should putting hands together. We have to be united to fight this cause. We have to be united to fight for the better Nigeria we hope for. So division is not just the answer coming from any group or talking about agitating for division, dividing the country. We need to fight it is our battle. We need to put hands together as individuals. We have to put hands together as Nigerians to fight this cause, to take Nigeria to the best level.
You know, Tosi, when you were talking about the money being used to aid in, the fight against terrorism, and we keep hearing, just like you say, we keep hearing that the leaders are being captured, and yet we're having insurgents here and there. They definitely have people they're training, and we've always said that in the show here that if we really want to fight insecurity. Hello, Hyacinth. Good morning. You're our last caller for today. Hello, Hyacinth.
Yeah. Good morning.
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 Today people have just... Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go on, please.
Okay. The problem that we have in Nigeria, everybody is saying that we should divide the country. Biafra must go. Everyone must go. This life is not like that. We are one Nigeria. At least, anything that you are doing, try to be united. Even though you divide this Nigeria, Christian away, Muslim away, but still, they will still have the same problem that Nigeria has today. The little problem, even any person that lives in town, even you with your wife, you still have problem, and we still settle. There's nothing that didn't have settled. So, I am pleading for Nigeria, everybody to carry in mind now, to do the right thing that it's not good that this one will go like this one will go like this. It's not good. We are one Nigeria. Even though we like to take from African countries that like only Christian, they have problem. Immigrants, they have problem. As far as you come from a different place, you must have problem. So please, I am begging for Nigeria. Please and please. Let us be one. As we are united, let us be united. We are giants of Africa, especially Nigeria. So that name is a serious something. And if you can look the way that we in Nigeria say that we can't bank with those people, we have $1 raised. So to show that Nigeria is a better something, Nigeria is something. Don't worry, Nigeria say that I will not bank with people. But see the way that $1 raised. So that thing, we're supposed to use our sense. Because to know that we are the people that feeding those people. So please, thank you. That is my command.
Thank you so much, that caller. He's still, laying emphasis on the fact that we are more, when we're united, we can fight insurgents. And, the issue of this terrorism and fight here and there, it's about ethnicity, tribalism. You are choosing who is your tribe, who is from the same religion. We don't look at the person's capability. We don't look at your character. We don't even look at your history, because records will have it there. What did you do? So I think it's high time as Nigerians we put our heads together together and stop fighting ourselves on things that are not valuable. But let's see that we are one Nigeria, whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, regardless of who you are, we are all Nigerians, and we need to stand together to build Nigeria to be the country that we want it to be. Well, I wish we can go more, on the show, but this is where we have to draw the curtain for the show this morning. But before we go, to see any word for our viewers for today?
Yes, I'll say whatever it is, it shouldn't be beyond us. It shouldn't call for separation.
Exactly. Just like I said, it's a month of love, and today that happens to be Valentine. And when I open up, I said that the highest way you can show love is by forgiving one another. Show love to someone out there. Help the needy, help the orphan, whoever is in your disposal. Just learn to help people. That is the way we can show love. Until we come your way again tomorrow on From the Dailies, I remain Sarah Elisha, and Toso Wallaby has been doing this with me. Until we come your way tomorrow, have a blessed morning. Bye for now.